He's the man in the back of the room. Y con la voz de Dios. He's told U.S. presidents where to sit, CEOs where to go, and stars when to shine. But as he likes to point out,
who cares? I care.
It's true, she cares. And so does he. He's entertainment and production agency owner and meeting and event master, Anthony Bollotta. She's his Agent 99, and you're about to be Bollotta-FIDE.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Bollotta-FIDE, the one and only pod about events, entertainment, and engagement. I'm Anthony Bollotta. I'm here, as I am every single week, with the always delicious, always optimistic Alexia Cristina Postalides. Opa!
Picanis.
What's up, kiddo?
Oh, a lot. A lot is up. I did something on Sunday that I haven't done for a long time.
What is this?
I went outside. I actually was outside and got fresh air.
I'm so glad to hear that because it's been so beautiful.
It has been. I'm standing there in Coronado at the park for a concert, and the breeze is blowing through my hair. And I turned to my friend and I went, "This is what the outdoors is like."
Yes.
And I realized, okay, this is the last year for that.
Yes.
I'm not keeping myself this busy next year.
Yes.
Next summer is all about fun. No school, very little obligation. I'm going to have more fun because we live in the most beautiful city.
Yeah.
We really do.
It gets only too hot occasionally, but it's usually really clement here and beautiful and easy to be outside.
Well, I mean, I live in Santee, so it's more than occasional. Okay, so
it's a little hotter there, but it's also breezy in Santee. It can be very breezy.
Yeah. Not my little end, but it's nice. It is what it is for now. I will eventually be migrating to the more northern county of San Diego. That is the ultimate dream.
So what I heard from that is that you have a breezy end. That's what I got.
More than you know, my friend. More than you know.
So
that's that's going to be either my nickname or a tagline for something.
Breezy
Alex and her
end.
breezy end.
Maybe it's a musical.
Could be a cabaret.
Could very well be a cabaret. It could be anything.
Could be.
So I happened upon this incredible YouTube today. I was just, playing around, and I came upon a YouTube of Hannah Waddington opening the Olivier Awards with a rendition of Anything Goes that was superb, stupendous. It was awesome. And apparently she had to really fight the producers to do it that way, but it was awesome. So if you have a moment, go look for that YouTube. Hannah Washington opening
Waddingham. Is it Hannah Waddingham?
Excuse me, yeah. Waddingham opening the Olivier Awards. Thank you for that.
Well, she's one of my newest idols in every sense, in every area of life. And that woman can sell a song. She knows how to tell the story. It's not just about sounding pretty or powerful. In her Christmas special, when she sang a song to her, I'll get choked up. We won't go there. And she sang a song to her parents. There are no words for her talent and her beauty and her grace and her and her motherhood and her mothering and what she has done with her life and how she has done it and how she honors the people that helped her. I'm all a chill because I love her that much.
I'm thinking two words. Role model.
Absolutely.
We need more role models in the world today with grace and charm and kindness.
Yes.
Okay, before we get started, if you're a new listener, please take this time to like and subscribe.
Go ahead. We'll give you a sec.
Why, thank you!
So listen up, listeners.
Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake,
I love the music. Who is this? What are we listening to? And why?
This is our Tipsy. And if you are smart, you will want to book this band with Bollotta Entertainment. So, Anthony, I have to ask you, are you a parrot head?
I wouldn't exactly call myself a parrot head, but I do enjoy a Jimmy Buffett tune.
Okay. Same. I was a Jimmy Buffett fan, but I didn't consider myself a parrot head either. Then I had the opportunity to see him in his last large live performance. Kind of changed me. And shortly after that concert, I was contacted by an artist who has a Jimmy Buffett tribute band, and it's called Jimmy's Buffet.
Not Jimmy's Buffett, Jimmy's Buffet.
It's Jimmy's Buffet. And after
Phoebe?
in relation, I have to ask him that. I don't know.
You never know.
If he makes Nestle Tour's cookies, then maybe he is. You have to be a Friends, right? You have to be a Friends fan to know that reference. But after talking to Chris, he's the band leader and he's the Jimmy behind Jimmy's Buffet. Super impressed. He gets the phrase show business. He's very easy to work with, super flexible, incredibly kind, and he loves what he does. So I got to go see him at the Belly Up for a live performance. And man, they did not disappoint.
Interactive,
super.
Engaging,
yes. And high energy, starts out by the band's on stage. He's on a cart, rolling himself, an electric cart, rolling himself through the crowd, singing as he gets to the stage, lighthearted, fun, super energetic. And the crowd was all in. There were people with their parrot heads. There were people with shark costumes. They were all there dancing, singing. The call and response was incredible. And, just so much fun. Just so much fun. I mean, go ahead.
How long was the show?
I want to say, because there was a pre-band, it was a good hour and a half to 2 hours. No break or anything.
Oh, really? No break. And they do at least that much material. I assume they have more.
Oh yeah. He can pretty much do anything. And what's really good about this band that I one of the reasons I'm super excited. So, they're good for so many different kinds of events, whether if you want your attendees to be involved with the show, not just be a passive listener, right? You want a fun party. You want that atmosphere. It's perfect for corporate block parties, pool parties, anywhere where the attendees are ready to sing, dance, play, maybe throw a beach ball or two in the air while trying not to spill their margaritas, of course.
So maybe a great alternative to, say, a dueling piano show.
Yes, and what they can really do as well, because they can pare down. They can go down to a 3-piece. So they'd be a perfect if you wanted something a little different from your standard beach band, your rock yacht, right? Your calypso,
right?
Because their steel drum musician is amazing. She's amazing.
Love that.
She is amazing.
Don't see a lot of female calypso players. Don't see a lot of steel pan players who are female. Love it.
Yep. And so, they're doing an event for us at the Margarita Hotel. They're going to be playing for 6 hours. It'll be a 10-piece band.
At Margaritaville.
At Margaritaville. And what else is good is that while it's a show and it's interactive, it also allows for attendees to do their networking, to talk. We're going to have other interactive things going on. So they can partake in those other interactive things while listening to the music and also reacting and singing back to the band, yelling out salt, salt, salt as they're making their little lays or whatever they're doing. So it just allows for a lot of variety for an event, and it's just, again, it's an opportunity and it's almost like you're being given permission to go have fun.
And here in San Diego, it's a great alternative to, as you say, the beach bands, the calypso bands, which we sell a lot of. People come here and they want to, have their guests feel like they're here in San Diego, a chill kind of town in Southern California. And that kind of music really does support that engagement, that experience. So good find.
Yes,
Jimmy's buffet.
I have to tell you, I'm really rather proud of this addition to our roster.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that you're proud, because it makes me smile to know that you're feeling proud. And hopefully we get a lot of play with them, because it sounds like they're great to work with. And that is always, not always, but that can be the hardest thing to deal with in our
Yes.
industry. Not the talent, not getting the great musicianship. It's getting people who are reliable and easy to work with and flexible and
And
kind
kind. Yep.
and happy to be there.
Happy to be there. I want to just add this. When you watch the band, and especially when you're watching Chris, we've talked about this on the show. He is so passionate about providing a good show for the audience, not for himself, not for themselves. He wants to entertain. He wants everybody to have as much fun as he's having. And it's evident. You can't help but smile when you watch them.
I love it. That's a musician who is in touch and in
Mhm.
tune.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, thank you for that
You're
share.
welcome.
Terrific share. Jimmy's Buffet. Book them through Bollotta Entertainment. Do it now before they're booked and they're not available for you. And I think we should move on and introduce our guest, because we don't have a lot of time today, and she is awesome.
Awesome. I am going to say right before I get to the introduction, I've already told my daughter to please look her up. She actually, when I mentioned her name, goes, "Mom, I know who that is." And I said, she's a good role model for you. Given what Illy's doing, I want you to study her. I want you to research her. I want you to follow her. Perfect role model. So just wanted to throw that in because, I can.
Today's all about role models.
It's all about role models. So, all right, let's bring her in. Our guest today, as an MC, keynote speaker, and commentator, she brings her exuberant spirit and professional speaking expertise to live events, both in person and virtual, around the world. She has been repeatedly named one of the 100 most influential people in the global events industry by Eventex, and is among the top 7 speakers in the United States. As the youngest female presidential appointee in history, serving as the White House Director of Events for the Clinton administration, she created and executed over 1,000 White House events. She was an on-air contributor for the Fox News Channel, then moved to the CBS Early Show and on to CNN, with Larry King Live. She is the American contributor to Australia's #1 morning show, The Today Show, as well as being seen regularly on the BBC and ITV News London. And if that wasn't enough, she authored the book, Eat, Drink, and Succeed. Please welcome the incredible Laura Schwartz.
Hello, Anthony. Hello, Alex. Thank you. I know that this is recorded. I'm just going to play that introduction every morning, Alex. That was, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Wow.
You earned it. You earned it.
I like her.
You did all that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Is that why I'm tired?
Yeah, that's probably
Yes.
part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Probably
right.
running-
Okay.
Probably burning the candle on both ends and running
In the middle.
the oil dry, but that's what you do. I mean, I don't think you would have been a volunteer at the White House at 19 and moved into the position that you did had you not been this way.
You've got to have a love for life and a love for what you do, the people you have to do it with, and the effect that you can have positively on a community, on an industry, on a country, on a world. And I think as long as you wake up every day feeling like you're making an impact, and it can be walking a stranger across the street. I was on a walk 2 days ago. And, I didn't really know why. Like, I was trying to get out sooner. And I just couldn't. And calls kept coming in. And it's like, okay, now I've got to go. And I was just going down the street to the market here in Chicago where I live, just in the neighborhood. And I had planned to go hours earlier. I get there, and then I see a neighbor of mine, find out she's about to have a hip replacement. So now I know that, so I could bring her something. I come back down the street, only like 2 blocks from my house. There's this wonderful woman that I was able to just walk home and pick up a bag of hers. And it just, I have to tell you, there are these moments that you don't think are out there yet in your day. And you feel frustrated because your to-do list, you haven't checked it off in the order that you've wanted to, or you're not getting where you want to do, especially for me in between trips. I try to pack everything in. And then you got to realize, oh, wait, there's a bigger plan than just my to-do list and my timing. And so, yeah, you got to love making an impact. And we all get the wonderful opportunity every day to do that. So that's where I think we can draw our energy.
I
Well,
agree.
yes. And it starts with understanding that you can make an impact and that you do make an impact just by being a member of society on this earth and by intermingling with people, you have an impact. So I love that you lean into that power and that you encourage others to, because it's those who feel like they have no impact that usually make the worst impact. You have to remember that what you do impacts everyone, and you step out of your way to make a positive impact, which is why you're such a great role model. And why
Well, thanks.
we need more of you in the world.
Well, it's how I was raised. My parents just made it, this is what you do. This is how you approach neighborhoods. This is how you approach church, school, community, business. And I saw them even when times were tough and very lean. My dad is a professional photographer, a master craftsman, actually, and just an amazing guy. But he never set out to be in photography. And my mom was a nurse, an RN, and she never set out for it either. But my dad had lost his job at the cheese company and decided to turn his passion for photography into his profession. My mom, who was at home, because I'm 5 years younger than my sister, it's just the two of us. She had gone to work a bit in between us, and then when I was there, she was a stay-at-home mom. And when I arrived, and they went into their business, and they joke about those early days. Now they say that's when we had hamburger helper without the hamburger. But we as kids never knew it, and we always saw mom and dad. If it wasn't something directly work related, they were still involved. They were doing something. It was just a fabric of their lives, the photography as well as the community. And so it was always a fabric of mine and my sister's life. And it's pretty cool. My sister and I, we lived down the street from each other, about 6 blocks apart here in Chicago. And we just, both grew up with that approach. But I've got a lot of friends that didn't grow up with that kind of fabric that I did with my family. And they too, I think it's just something you observe, you get motivated to be involved. And I have to say, especially in this events industry worldwide, the impact that we make together is greater than we make separately. And we all have our individuality, we all have our niche, we all have something that we can really be proud of and find our way to and through. But that's why I love spending time today with the both of you. It's moments like this, whether you're on the podcast or you're listening to this podcast or you're sending me a message on X later or Instagram, LinkedIn. This is where the conversation's able to continue. And so, yeah, and this is what this industry allows all of us to do, to really be, just like our events and programs, immersed.
Immersed, exactly. Well, I hope you don't mind if I immerse you in something we call 10 quick questions.
10 quick questions.
10 quick questions?
I think the world knows more about you than they do about most of our guests, but just to have a little fun and
okay. I don't have a cocktail next to me. I don't know if I need one now but I'm all in.
Okay, just take a deep breath. That's all you need. This is just first answer that comes to your mind. Fun, have fun with it. Don't overthink.
Easy peasy.
2 minutes on the clock, and Alex will keep time. Are you ready for the first question?
I am ready.
All right. What's one must-see in Chicago you encourage all of your out-of-town guests not to miss?
Lake Michigan, because everybody thinks it's just a lake you can see across, and it's not. It is a great lake, and I love water. I love Lake Michigan. We have beaches in Chicago. It's awesome.
How many ice cream flavors are in your cone?
2, cinnamon and stracciatella gelato. So it's a little mix,
Nice.
ice cream
Stracciatella.
and gelato. Stracciatella. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Stracciatella,
I
yes.
just love it.
Mm.
Okay. What color do you wear when you want to feel powerful?
Pink.
I don't know why. I see you in pink.
Always have. Always. I love it. It makes me feel, it brings me energy if I'm not bringing it myself that day. Like I love, ever since Pretty in Pink, you gotta love pink.
Love pink. Love pink.
Peach Fuzz. Peach Fuzz is Pantone's 2024 color of the year. Peach Fuzz. Do you
Do you get as excited as I do when they announce the Pantone color of the year? It sounds like it. I just got my wife some Pantone shoes. It's pretty cool. I think they're Carumbas. Yeah, they buy a tree for the rainforest, but they're super cool. Pantone like tennis shoes.
But I have to ask you, do you have any peach fuzz?
No, I have hairless. You talking about? No, I have the most like bald arms as you can imagine. It's hilarious.
It's
I think it's
wonderful.
probably
You're
working for
lucky.
you.
They're just nice. I know that's what
You're not Greek,
people tell
as
me.
Alex would say.
They're not Greek.
Not Greek.
Alex, my sister, married a Greek, like a Greek like yourself, and it is it's there's a lot of hair in that family.
Yes. Well, you do
Mhm,
live in like
mhm.
one of the second most largely populated Greek populated communities right next to Greece is Chicago. So
Yep.
Oh.
Hey, that's why we host like 6 Greek fests a summer, and I'm at nearly every one.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, or talent. Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, or talent. Which of these has served you most in your career?
Charisma.
Mhm.
Because like being the youngest person at the White House, always many times the youngest in the room, or in some industries that I MC, one of the only females in the room, whatever it may be. You need that charisma. You can't just you might want to revert into a corner, or you may feel out of place. And I think charisma is something that you both can have inherently in yourself, but I think it's also something that you can just bring out when you need it as like a superpower.
What is the last thing you got in trouble for saying or doing?
Well, isn't it good that I can't recall?
Yes, probably.
We should call my parents.
You don't get in trouble.
Not, I guess maybe I own up to everything I say.
that's
I
a
love the fact
beautiful
that you don't
thing.
have an answer for that. Actually, I think.
I'm sure, but I own it.
Okay, what's the question?
Especially when I interrupt too much. I'm just kidding. Just waiting for you to talk again. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, wait. What's the question you're asked most about working at the White House?
Were you looked down upon because of your age?
Oh, interesting. What's your favorite dish to cook?
I wasn't.
I can't imagine.
My favorite. My favorite fish to cook.
Your favorite dish to cook.
Oh, my favorite dish. Okay,
if it's a
right
fish.
now. Yeah, no, right now it's chili lime burgers. I use a super lean ground chicken breast, squeeze an entire lime, a tablespoon of ghee, and then a great concoction of chili powder, garlic powder, with some fresh garlic, a little jalapeno, some cilantro and red onion. You mix it together, you let it sit for like half an hour, and then you put it on the grill. Nice thick patties. It is delicious. It is healthy. It is... I can eat, I think I had 5 of them on the 4th of July. Love them.
I have to say, you're the only other person I know that can attest to having ghee. I have it in your pantry. Love it.
It's ghee, it's just like this miracle of clarified butter. I don't know. I've gotten really into using it. It really brings, because sometimes when you have a really lean meat, you need some sort of,
some
sort of fat, but it's a good fat.
is
So
a good fat.
that works. And then you put an avocado smash with lime, little salt, little pepper on top.
No, I'm hungry.
How did the Loxa go, by the way?
Oh my gosh.
Did you
Okay,
take
I
out
went to
or-
Singapore.
Yeah.
I learned that I love laksa. I love laksa for breakfast. I'll have laksa for lunch. I'll have it for a snack. I could have it for dinner. Just probably not a bedtime snack. It's a little hot and spicy, kind of
Yeah,
like
it's
me.
spicy. Yeah.
But it went awesome. I mean, I never knew really what sumac was, SUMAC, which is one of the ingredients, but I found it, and I have to tell you, it's great. And I make it for my dad a lot because he's a big fan.
Nice. So it went well
Yeah,
that way.
thanks for yeah. I was in Singapore for my wife and I got married in 19. We decided to take a mini moon to the Bahamas right after we were married in May. But we really wanted to go to the Maldives. So it was a rainy season in May. So we waited to go to February, and it was 2020. And we flew into Doha on our way to the Maldives. And originally we were just going to have a few nights in the, 5 nights in the Maldives, and then hop to Thailand, Hong Kong, Japan. And my wife is in the hotel industry, and she kept getting calls from people saying, okay, now, we've got an outbreak here, because it was COVID. It was just, they were much more on it at the time. And so long story short, we had to switch our whole trip around on the fly as we were on it. Ended up 10 nights in the Maldives. Not a bad thing.
Oh,
Fantastic.
I want to go there. It's on
Highly
my bucket
recommend
list.
it. And then we switched it up. We went to Singapore and Bali. So it completely changed up after a year of planning, but loved it all. And laksa came out of my trip to Singapore, and I tell you, changed my life. The trip and the laksa.
Yeah,
It was.
Like
It
you
was.
would never
It
have had
was.
this love affair had you missed Singapore.
It's crazy. It's crazy how life works sometimes.
It is. Last question: which Disney princess could be your soul sister?
Oh, now I've got the Moulin Rouge. Hey, sister, soul sister, da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, no.
Which I'm sure you could sing better than I, Anthony and Alex, both of you. My Disney princess soul sister. My gosh, I was just there a few months ago. Cinderella.
It's Anthony's soul sister too.
Yeah, my soul
Is it?
sister. Yes.
This is why we get along so well, Anthony.
So,
It's not just that I admire and respect you for what you do and how you do it,
ditto.
but now we got that in common. Well, I'll have to find another poster or take mine down out of my office and send it to you. But I love that Cinderella. Wishes do come true.
And she's
Yes,
the
they do.
underdog, she's the one you're rooting for at the very beginning. You want to see her become the princess, and by golly, she does.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
she could have gone into that corner like I was talking about, but
Right.
she found that charisma, that superpower inside her to say, "No, I am someone."
She even had her own little chair in that corner.
Mhm.
She could have
That's
said it.
right. She
Right,
did.
right. And right. So could you start? We've been talking to you for 20 minutes already, but could you tell us how one volunteers at the White House?
Oh my gosh, Anthony, it is a crazy story and one I never saw coming. I mean, my family was never politically involved. We talked about policy over politics. We didn't donate. Wasn't anything like that. But instead, it was 1992. I was at a small university in Wisconsin, great place, St. Norbert College. My sister went there, so I went there. But you know what? Just wasn't my jam. So I had this great talk with my parents when I started my sophomore year, actually a little late into my sophomore year, first semester. And I said, listen, I don't think this is for me. And so I got into DePaul in Chicago, but the little trade-off at semester was going to be kind of awkward. So instead of leaving at semester, I thought, well, listen, I'm going to do a study abroad. I'm going to go to Europe. Well, by the time I made this decision, guys, I missed the cutoff for like every program. I didn't know what I was going to do, except for one thing. On Tuesdays at St. Norbert, I went to nickel beer night at a pub called Nicky's. And I'm drinking beer for a nickel. The guys had to pay a couple bucks, I guess. And I started talking to this guy I'd seen earlier the year before. And he's like, hey, Laura, what's up? And I said, I don't know what's up because here's my deal. And he said, Laura, I just got back from the Washington semester program at American University. you should check this out. It's awesome. You do a tuition exchange, like it's totally, it works out. So I went home that night and I found out that I had like 2 days to get my stuff in to try for this program. I got my stuff in, I got into the program, and it was really unique. It would start January 2nd in 1993. Now that aligns with the same month Clinton was inaugurated. So hold on to that. And you could choose one of like 5 different tracks to study: journalism, politics, peace and conflict resolution, criminal law. I chose what I thought would be the easy thing, and it was called Museum Studies and the Arts, because I love a Smithsonian. And I was there when I was a safety patrol in 7th grade. And I thought, well, hey, I'm going to go look at museums. It's going to be a great lax semester. And so I did that. And the program set up so 3 days a week, you're listening to guest speakers, you're going on site to different locations, and you're studying. And then the other 2 days a week, you are free to grab a volunteership or an internship, ideally something within what you're studying, et cetera. Well, because I was in this museum studies thing, and by the way, we did the Smithsonian's for a week. And then never again.
Never again.
And the art history was pretty intense. So I had a lot of catching up to do. But I will tell you, just in hindsight, and I'll just say this now, here I thought I probably chose the wrong program. This is a lot more heady into like all these galleries and different exhibits that I wasn't, really thinking about. But when I look back on that, you guys, that's where I learned the importance of like curation. In that example, I was meeting with curators and learning really how a curator put an exhibit together, whether it's at a museum or somebody's house or in an embassy, and how you tell a story through the visual, through the verbal, the audio, right? And where you place things and different eye levels. And I have to say, never would I have thought that would make such an impact on me studying communications and PR than when I became the White House Director of Events, because I think all of us within the events industry, and now as a professional speaker, you curate your guests' experience. You curate your host, your company's experience with curating the message and content that's relatable and relevant to the audience right there, not the one you spoke to 2 weeks ago, but like the one in front of you, and the entertainment you're curating for what will best fit their focus and make sure that there's a long-standing impact even after the guest is gone. So anyway, the museum thing kind of turned out okay. I learned a lot. That was great. But I stuck with that all semester. But it was the internship that I was a little hung up on. I got an internship inside this PR firm, which was inside a law firm. And I was there for a couple of weeks and it was fine. I was answering phones, making coffee, making copies. That's what you do when you're interning. And I thought, I'm going to pick up some good things in PR. That'll be good for my major when I go back to school. And one night, my roommate at American University was in the journalism program. And she came home and said, "Hey, Laura, I know you're not crazy about your internship. Well, my professor just told us she got a call from a guy that did this program like 2.5, 3 years ago. His name is Josh, and he's actually in the office of the president-elect's transition. And said, hey, we don't have an intern program at the White House when we get there, but we're going to need help." And so I met with this guy and he said, "Listen, you're going to be answering the phone, making copies, making coffee. I don't know what. None of us, if we get in there noon on inauguration day, really know exactly what we'll be doing, but we're going to need the help." And, I get credit for it, even though it was a volunteership. That was totally fine. And so I thought to myself, well, this is what I'm doing now at this PR firm inside a law firm in DC. I'd much rather do it at the White House. So again, no political connections, not that much political knowledge. I got my news from Entertainment Tonight, not really anywhere else. But I got there and it was the day after inauguration. We had 2 banquet tables in the press office and we would just answer phones. There was one receptionist from Little Rock, Arkansas, who was just awesome. And you'd answer phones. And there was one other girl that did it from AU. And she would come 9, leave at 5. She took lunch. Well, I mentioned I grew up in a small business. My family's photography studio. This is what you do. You band together, you help out. I could see people had a lot on their plates. No time to like put the plate down and say, well, Laura, this is what we're doing at the White House today. And it's like, no, none of that. Like everybody was just having to do their thing, right? It was kind of like organized chaos. Other days it was just chaos, but it was just awesome. So I started, making copies, of course, of press releases, media advisories, presidential schedules. And then I'd make myself a copy. And I kept a folder and I would read these press releases going to and from work and stuff, or, the volunteer position. And it's how I started kind of seeing my first press release, et cetera. And one day I was on the phones and somebody came through the office, the phone area, and said, hey, she was obviously overworked. And she said, does anyone in here know how to write a press release? And I said, oh, I do. Well, I never wrote one in my life.
I love it.
But I took one out of the folder that I kept with me all the time. I knew what questions to ask her. And then I went to this like little communal computer and I wrote my first press release. And then she gave some edits and I worked it out and I learned a lot from doing that. And it's like, I did just write my first press release. And then the other thing I did during that semester, answering phones all day, every day, I cut a lot of class and I would go to the White House and answer phones because I thought I was learning more some days from that. So that worked out well. And on the weekends, because everybody was there. It wasn't like they were just 9 to 5. They were there every day, starting at 6:30. I could go in and answer phones at 6:30 and see the staff members when they would come in for their morning meeting. And they knew my name. The other girl who just came and went and took lunch, they never knew hers. I don't recall hers, actually. Nice young woman, but it wasn't like she was going to offer extra assistance. It was just she was putting in her time. And I wanted to make sure if I was there for just a few months, I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. So I would keep this notepad and I would write down who was calling and I would ask them all those annoying questions. I'd be like, White House press office. And then may I say who's calling? And this is in regards to. And then all of a sudden, I put together what was all happening. And if somebody was getting, like if one of the press secretaries was getting a lot of calls about an event the next Tuesday, whatever, I'd walk in and say, hey, Kim, it looks like you've got a big event next Tuesday. I've been fielding a lot of calls and sending them back to you. I don't have class on Tuesday. I'm happy to come in and help you out. Well, Of course, I had class, but I'd rather come in and help her out. And she's like, really? She said, I just need someone to escort TV crews from the gate to the Rose Garden. I'm like, I'm your girl. So I would do that. But then get this. I got to stand in the Rose Garden in the back at the press riser and watch the event unfold. And when I say watch, really watch, like I watched like where the press were and their cutaway in relation to the platform. And how they did the chairs and where the music was and how, and like, it was just, we can learn so much through observation, active observation, right? Mm-hmm. So I did that. And then the end of the semester came, I was due to go home. And the director of the White House, the press secretary said, hey, Laura, we've got an intern program starting up this summer. But why don't you stay on as a volunteer, train the interns on the phone? It would be like a huge help. And, there's no pay in it, obviously. And I called my parents and I said, so here's the deal. I have an opportunity for this. And this is after I talked to my sister. And for my sister, I said, I've got the option to stay. And Andrea said to me, my sister, she said, no, Laura, that's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so I called up mom and dad. And they said, you got to do it. And I moved in with 4 other girls. We were all volunteering that summer, had a lot of pasta, you name it. And I got to work a lot more with the different press secretaries for the different regions of the country, the director of television that produced and directed all the president's television appearances or large television coverage of events. And so I was answering a lot of phones still, but I was able to spend a little bit more time escorting crews and printing things out and helping. And at the end of the summer, now I have to go home to school. Well, that's my next call to my parents, because you see, the Healthcare Security Act was getting rolled out. You had both the president and first lady involved. They would do big events together and then kind of spider web the country in the top markets to get out the message. And before they would do that, they would do interviews with the top TV stations in those markets. And so they had a director of television that went for the presidents, but they didn't have someone just solely for Hillary, Mrs. Clinton at the time. And so they sent me on the road to do that. And it was like, oh my gosh, now I'm trapped. I mean, I'm still a volunteer. I'm not getting paid. But I am learning so much, again, through active observation, asking questions when it seemed appropriate. You know, when anybody's in the middle of something, you know, you got to have a cadence. You got to respect the cadence. And that was, you know, so I just did that. And I think that made them respect me, though I was the youngest always in the room, right? But they respected that because I didn't get in their way. I was helpful. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome to call my parents and say, well, now I'm traveling. And Dad said, well, you know what? College will always be there. But this experience, and I said, I'm still learning. And so they said, you know, stay, you know, start next, you know, quarter or whatever. And so I did. And then a couple weeks later, the one paid receptionist from Little Rock went back to Arkansas to be with her grandkids and family. And they asked me to take that position. And I said, you know, I respect the phones. I answer a ton of phones. I respect it. But I also, like, I'm doing a little traveling now. I'm working more with the press secretaries. And they said, all right, okay, here's what we can do. You can keep doing some travel and working with all the press secretaries, director of television and such. You got to make sure the phones are always covered. You got to train all the interns. And I started a whole intern program to work with the staff, et cetera.
Sure you did.
Yep. And we called it, because everyone is perhaps not as energized as I am about answering the phones. So anyway, he said, let's call it a staff assistant instead of receptionist, so that, you know, kind of changes the personification of it, right?
Sure.
So you know, what was great about that and what I learned from that moment is, number one, I was taken seriously at 19. But number two, I didn't just say no. I elaborated on why I was saying what I was saying. And because of that, they got to know how much I was appreciative of having the opportunity, but they also saw where I was. And I was in the learning mode. I wanted to, you know, continue doing these things that I thought I could make an impact in. And they listened, and it was just wonderful. And so I did that. And I was just never so proud to have a pager. It was the best thing. And then about 6 months later, the Midwest press secretary had left, and they asked me to just kind of fill in for her. And so I did that while making sure the phones were covered, all of it. And the Midwest press secretary verbally communicates the president's message on the record, both proactively to the media in the Midwest, television affiliates, newspapers, and reactively as well when they call in for a question, and puts together the media for those cities in the Midwest of which the president will travel to. You go ahead of time and you get things ready, and you look at a really good, what we call it, an OTR, off the record movement. You find a good OTR that you can do that the media is going to really latch on to and really appreciate, because it's more community oriented. Because the national media, you know, they need to report on, you know, the national stuff and whatever scandal, you know, you name it. But we could really break through in local media. So I really enjoyed that. And I was just having fun helping out. And then they asked me to take it, like, to become the Midwest press secretary. And it was just crazy, wonderful. And I dove right in, just loved it. Still answered the phones when I would, you know, walk through the phone area. Or if I just heard it ringing, I wake up with that ring still today. Line 50, that was our line, 7150. Anyway, then I kept working with the director of TV too, running scripts, anything, you know, that he might have needed help with. So in 95, then the director of TV left to go produce at MTV. And he was just super cool and such a mentor. The press secretary said, hey, Laura, what do you think? You want to take that position? And I said, I just love what I do. And he's like, all right, well, then you're going to have to do it until we find a replacement. And you have to interview people. So everyone I liked, the press secretary said no to. And so I was doing double duty. And it was the end of this video taping session I was doing with the president, and the crew was there. We were wrapping up, and I saw Mike McCurry, the press secretary, come in and say something to the president. And then the president walked over to me. Now I'm just thinking this is to thank everybody as usual. He was very gracious and kind to the staff and to all the production team. And he walked over and he said, "So Laura," and I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I hear you don't want this job." And I said, "Well, sir, I really love my job as the Midwest, press secretary." And he said, "Yeah, but I see you. I see you light up when you say action, when you rap. I see how everyone here respects you, and you've got this great relationship." And I said, "Well, yeah, I really do, dig it. I love it, but I really enjoy what I'm doing." And he said, "Laura, we hope to have 4 more years after this first term, but we don't know if we're going to. And so you need to take every moment to take the next step and continue learning something new and make the most of this finite time we have." And then he said, "And besides, you get to fly with me on the big plane." That kind of sealed it for me. It was the plane. I love planes. I love Air Force One. But in all reality, it was really neat to have such a mentor in him. And it was really great to just have such respect as this 19, 20, 21 at the time, probably 21 years old, to have somebody take the time to kind of tell you what you needed to hear and that maybe your eyes weren't open to. And then in 97, the director of events left. So it kind of sounds like I just outlasted everybody. Sort of. I sort of did.
Walking.
Right.
But I loved being the director of television because I love the visual. The verbal was great. The visual, there's so much you can do with it. Where you set the interview, what the setting's like, what colors you're using, what it needs to portray. Is it very presidential? Is it more casual? What's the topic? How should we make this look? And I worked a lot with the director of events who was in charge of, all the events at the White House, which we called affectionately the 18 acres, because it's the White House, it's the North Lawn, South Lawn, executive office building next door. That's all the complex, right? And talked to the president, we had this discussion. The president called and said, "Sarah's leaving," who was amazing in her job. And he said, "We'd like you to take the position." And it was nothing I ever dreamed of. I always respected and learned so much from actively observing Sarah and working with her on different things. But it was just, oh my gosh, my heart leapt into my throat. I think it stayed there for like a year, but it was so exciting. So I moved from the West Wing to the East Wing, and that's where, as the director of events, I got to work with an amazing group of volunteers, of staffers, everybody from speech writing, public liaison, ledge affairs, visitor's office, everybody, communications, like just general counsel, everybody. And so it was just wonderful to create this collaborative effort towards every event that we had, whether it was a state dinner, NATO's 50th anniversary in 99, or it was a more intimate affair with terminally ill children that came to tour the White House with their parents. And the president walked in to just take them out of their element of worry for that.
Yeah.
I always get emotional, that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes. It's the power that events have. And I relished it. I loved every single moment of it. But as you can tell, Anthony, Alex, and for everyone listening out there, it was never something I planned. This wasn't on a vision board. And I am very grateful. I have such amazing parents behind me, an incredible sister behind me. I didn't do any of this alone. I learned from everyone around me. But it was just, and even as the White House director of events, if the phone was ringing, I'd pick it up. And because that's just what you do. And I just enjoyed, every day. And some days were tough. We all have tough days in events, right? And, but you get through them and you do that together.
Did you ever have to say no to the president? That would have been a tough day.
Yes, actually. And sometimes he would listen. Other times he would still want to do whatever he wanted to do. I remember one event. It was a reception that we were hosting at the White House, and the president and first lady are coming down from the residence, which is upstairs. The state floor is really like the first floor of the White House, and versus the ground floor underneath it. So the state floor is where you have the East Room, the state dining room, the red room, blue room, and green room for anyone that's toured there. It's just beautiful. And I was running through the program with them over by the elevator before we opened the doors. And there was going to be a small program. And the president said, well, I'm just going to go talk to people first, and then I'll get up to, give remarks. And I said, sir, you really should just, if I've got military, I've got a social aid right here, another social aid right there. We've got a cordon to the podium, no rope and stanchion or anything, but just military cordon. I said, we're going to get you in there, and no grand announce, just audio, just your name. We're not doing ruffles and flourishes, but let's get you up there, say what you need to say, your remarks, and then you can mingle all you want. But if you start mingling now, we're going to lose you, and it's going to be hard to get the assemblance back together. Well, he said, no, Laura, I've been up in my office all day. He was up using the study in the residence. I really want to see these people. Many of them are my friends. Like, okay, all right. I said my piece. I said no. I said why I was saying no.
Sure.
And guess what? It crumbled in on him. He couldn't get back to the podium. He kept saying, is it time? I said, yes, it's time. And I had military aides there to help extract him, but it took forever.
Sure.
Hillary was a little annoyed at it. And then because we had this all set. So anyway, then he gives remarks, and then he does a little mingling after and comes back out. And I'm there, obviously. And he's like, so you told me probably that way wasn't going to work. I said, well, sir, it's your house, it's the people's house, but it's your program. You get to do, And he's like, well, I now get what you're saying. And that's when Hillary turned to me and said, well, no, he learned his lesson. Bill, now when Laura says no and there's a plan in place, it's going to be easier on you. It was just the best. It was the best. Because fine.
The best.
Fine. And then vindication. Could you imagine if he mingled, went to make remarks, mingled and left? No.
Having Hillary in your corner?
She's a good person to have in your corner, man.
Oh my gosh. That's
She's
the kind
amazing.
of the vindication that we all crave. And you got it.
I felt so good. I felt so good inside, but I always said why, and even if he's like, do these shoes match? I'm like, no, they don't. And there's a great valet, Navy valet. He would go get it's like, sometimes you just have to be honest, right? I think all the time. In fact, if I can impart one piece of advice, because now I'm on a roll, and I haven't even had a cocktail today yet, but I will tell you this. A lot of people ask me what lesson I learned at the White House. And one of the lessons I learned is that if you're honest, the truth can't scare you. And I mean that because, obviously with the Clinton White House, we had our scandals, right?
Yes.
And the really bad one, the president dug in, lies built up, and then boom, it all comes down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Same thing with a lot of members of Congress on the Hill. This happens in everybody's lives, in corporate America, in association America, in our own offices. And the thing is, if you're just honest, the truth can't scare you. So just get it out of the way. Ask for forgiveness. Say you messed up. It's amazing how people will give you just a shred of respect for at least that.
Yes.
And then move
Absolutely.
forward. And so, I think, but I just knew that this, I knew what I was talking. If I was ever unsure of anything, oh gosh, I would, make sure I could find out in just one call what I needed to know.
Sure.
But if it was something that, was in my wheelhouse, like an event scenario, things like that, absolutely. I was going to be honest, and you can take my advice one day, not the next, but then you'll probably always take it after that.
I want to share something I was told a couple of years ago. It's part of some training that I'm doing. And it helps give me the courage when I
Mm.
don't necessarily want to say what's on my mind, but it'll give me the courage. It is because it's all about intent. Where I speak truth, others hear only love.
Oh, that's profound.
Isn't
That is
beautiful?
good. It is. And it's true. But sometimes we've got to say that so we can muster.
Yes. And it's not always easy, but if we
Mhm.
want to make a difference, then we have to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Yeah.
can't really make a difference if you're not honest. You don't make a difference. You end up just doing what everybody else does and, turning away or keeping it inside and moving along,
Mm-hmm.
when you're the one that says, nope, that isn't going to work that way. Or let's think about it this way. You actually do make a difference. You actually do help the conversation along.
Yeah. Even if people don't take your advice, you can feel really good about having a say.
Yes.
And the intent isn't always to persuade, but just to add perspective.
Yes.
And we've all worked with, whether it's politics or corporate America, et cetera. Yes, men, yes, women, yes, everyone, where you've got a CEO or somebody turn to somebody say, can I? Oh, yes. Oh, great idea. Yes. It's like, that wasn't a great idea at all.
It doesn't help.
Right. I agree. I think you want to be surrounded by, it's obviously because I've met D'Angelo and you, Alex, and Anthony. You surround yourself with people you value, whose perspectives you value. And hey, you're going to be around a lot of people too, whose perspectives, quite honestly, you don't value because maybe it's a negative attitude, or maybe it's just because they're mean or put other people down. You don't have to take their perspective into association, but I know I have. For me, kitchen cabinet. Here at Laura Schwartz Live, we're a party of two, sometimes three, and I think it's important, just like a president has the cabinet, Secretary of Commerce, that deals, of course, with, business, and Secretary of State and SecDef and, EPA, all these different, people in charge of different policies and parts of the government. You need a kitchen cabinet. And that's an informal group of people from different points in your life, mine are from, that'll tell you the truth, and that you can ask for their perspective and maybe get something you're not getting from inside of your office, or maybe just inside of your head on a walk, or you're sitting and you're trying to put a document together all day and it's just not coming. Your kitchen cabinet doesn't judge you. Your kitchen cabinet doesn't get mad at you if you don't take their advice. And I saw the president do that. He's had a kindergarten friend and some other mentors and people through the years that he always kind of called upon informally to do like a gut check. And so I think we all, so Alex, who would your kitchen cabinet be?
My daughter.
Yeah. And
She's
she probably gives you a totally different perspective.
100%. I trust everything that comes out of her mouth. Not necessarily, she's 19, so we put that in perspective, but she's very honest, and she will never tell me what she thinks I want to hear.
That's
Tells me
necessary. And that makes you better.
Oh.
Anthony, who's in your kitchen cabinet?
D'Angelo, for sure, and Alex, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam, my staff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have two old friends from 7th grade that I still
There you go.
with, and I can always ask them. And I have a friend, Susan, who will always tell me the truth. So yeah, I have a few people. And
Yeah, I think
right, it's so important. So important.
I hope everybody listening out there maybe thinks for a moment about who your kitchen cabinet is. Maybe write it down on like a little Post-it or just in your notes app on the phone. But we all should have one.
Yes.
I do want
Mhm.
to add, I have two very dear friends that are right up there with me too.
Yeah.
And I know that when they speak truth, it's with love.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and they can be completely out of the industry, have nothing to do with it, even better when it comes to that kind of decision. And that, it's remarkable. So everyone, think of your kitchen cabinet and pick up a phone if it's ringing. Those are the two.
Who's in your kitchen cabinet, Laura?
My kitchen cabinet is most definitely my wife, Susan. She has an incredible business mind. She leads with empathy professionally, and has taught me a lot just from watching her. My parents, of course, because they know me, my programs, my life better than anybody, and my sister as well. But then there's a great Amy Dacey. She was the political director on John Kerry's 2004 campaign. She's now the executive director of the American University School of Politics and Leadership Institute. And she's one of these people in my life I can call up day or night, and she's going to have something to say, probably some sort of joke about it that maybe makes me start thinking of something differently. And so it's Amy. It's my two cousins up in Wisconsin. They're also my Wisconsin focus group when I need it. And a couple of lawyers, because they're good to have in a cabinet. No, lawyers, and we never talk about law. But yeah, it's just people throughout all different stages of my life. How great, how blessed are we to be able to name 2, 3, 4, 5. But even if you can name one, that's your go-to. That's your wingman, wing girl, whatever.
Well, I have to add Anthony to the list as well, because we've known each other so long. I feel comfortable coming to him, yes, on a work level, but really, honestly, on a personal level, I know I can come to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
That's special. Yeah. Wow, you guys are special. This is just outstanding.
We're all special. I started my career answering phones. There's nothing at all. It's a great way to get into a company or into an organization or into the White House, into something that you want to do. And there's no shame in it at all. We all understand the need to make money. We all understand the desire for good and beautiful things in our lives. But it's also called paying your dues, and going out there and taking initiative is one of the ways that you do that. And volunteering is one of the ways that you get your foot in the door.
Yes. And by the way, that first person on the phone, I love that that's how you started too, Anthony. But that the administrative assistants, the executive support teams across all companies, big and small, party of one or, 100,000, they are that first connection, with that product, that company's mission, that corporate philosophy. They are that first contact. And it is so incredibly important. And I've spent a lot of time with the executive support community, both in Europe and Asia and South Africa, where it's incredibly empowering to these young women of ASIFO, which is a beautiful, beautiful school for girls, to give them value and bring value, because that's what that support does. And so it's really, it's an incredible journey, whether that is your mission or that is your moment to learn and then decide that journey ahead.
Well, the cool thing about the person, that first point of contact, it tells you so much about the person you're trying to reach, the company you're trying to get through to. It tells you everything. And, this is where a trickle-down theory to me works, because if the person answering that phone or answering that email is kind and helpful and considerate, the person they're working for. Example to this, communicating with Ashley, your assistant.
Oh, thank you.
And she is so absolutely lovely and helpful. And I told Anthony, I said, I know I haven't met Laura, but I already know what kind of person she is, because I know her assistant now. And you learn a lot about people by the people who work for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who you bring alongside you, really are part of your trajectory and journey all the way. In fact, when you're when you just mentioned, when you speak to that person for the first time, you guys can already be thinking, your roster of entertainment at Bollotta Entertainment is huge, and the different dynamics within that roster of which way you want to go with the creative workshopping or the great band, whatever it might, or the magician or the talent. But you can already start kind of gauging that. And I can only imagine the wheels that turn in both of your minds every time you have that first call, with the client. And hey, let's bring calls back again, because I have to say, I love I texting is great. It's immediate. There's, very good, reasons for. I love when somebody picks up the phone and calls me. I invite anyone to do that. Really, go for it.
Call
Go
her.
to my website, phone a number. One of us is answering it. But the neat thing is that it just gives you that personal touch. Somebody thanked me for picking up their phone call yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, thank you for
I
calling.
I did the same
because-
thing. I had to call an artist and he answered. And I said, thank you so much for answering the phone, Gary, because I need this information now. And he, his response was, well, it was you calling. So of course I'm going to answer it.
Yeah, of course.
Which is
If
lovely, but
Alex calls me, I'm
I'm
I'm an
answering
answer
Alex
'cause,
too.
we become friends now.
This is
But
the
no, I
hard-
agree with you.
This is the hardest thing I have to say today, and that is that we are out of time and that's Bollotta-FIDE FIVE. I hate saying this, but we have to. So
Can we do like a special edition of just the Bollotta-FIDE FIVE
yeah.
after? Let's tape that after this. Today, tomorrow, and then let's put that up as a separate standalone.
If you're cool with that and we can re-engage with you, I mean that would
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, this just sounds like, Laura's story, the days of her young life.
But the story is so relevant and it really,
is.
really does need to be heard, especially by young people trying to break into the industry and wanting to make a career of it. You just gave them a blueprint to do that. And
Well, I want to add too, even beyond young people, as I'm sitting here listening to you and getting chills and getting inspired, and I'm thinking, yeah, need to do more of that. Yeah, need to do more of that. So it's helpful to everybody.
Well, thank you. Thank you for listening. I mean, I think we all should take something from each other's journeys and put something into action. And it doesn't have to be all at once. It can be just, small steps. I love it. Thank you.
Baby steps. And you talk about a little bit about slow productivity.
Yeah, I'm really into that.
Is that what you mean when you say slow steps?
It's funny. I posted something on LinkedIn not too long ago about slow productivity, and I said, "Is it bad that it appealed to me because I could listen to this in 2 minutes?" Because I read a lot. For all my appearances on the Today Show, I read about an hour and a half a day across a lot of different papers, international periodicals, and of course here, domestically as well. And so I sometimes race to get through a piece or race to get through this. And slow productivity is actually incredibly beneficial. It's thoughtful. It's sometimes methodical, sometimes extemporaneous, but it's thoughtful. And I put so much of that slow productivity, that thoughtfulness, those deep dives of research into all of my clients, to every keynote, every MC program, because I want to weave the message of a program together so people leave with that. So they feel it was curated to them in that chair, not at them, not talked down to them, but with them.
Yeah.
And I have to start doing more of that in my own just day-to-day life for me. I kind of, yeah.
Do you give yourself periods of time when you consciously say, all right, this is going to be a slow productivity hour and I'm just going to allow myself to immerse? Or is it just sort of happening organically?
I don't know yet, Anthony.
I love the concept. I need some of that in my life.
You know what? I'm putting a lot of thought into it. And then somehow it'll seep into my Laura time. But I enjoy the other time so much, and I love learning about others and where we can really make a connection with an audience, and where I can bring in some relevant and relatable story to share that could be transformative. That I get so excited and energized by that. Sometimes when I look at the other things, just in day-to-day life, I need to slow down and be more thoughtful and, into that.
But also there's
I'm
really
learning.
greater message there too. And I would go so far as to say we are so stressed today to do things fast, to respond to messages quickly, to get so much done in a day that we forget that the really good things take a long time to build. And this slow productivity idea, this concept really really opens my mind to realize that the good things take a long time. And when you really want to do something that's valuable and will have meaning and impact, it takes a long time. And so
Yeah.
give yourself permission to sit with something and let all of the stresses of life go and all of those messages go that are waiting for you to respond to is really quite intriguing to me, and something that I feel like I need to lean into more. Maybe there's another book in that.
There might be. There are a couple of ideas out there right now we're trying to sort through for it, but that is a really, because I talk a lot about being present, and I really am. That's something I do well at. Being present, whether it's on a call, whether that be Zoom or a phone call, or in a conversation, whether it's work related or not, just be present, because we don't want to miss a moment. Life moves too fast. As Ferris Bueller said at the end of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, life moves fast, something like that. It's just like you gotta squeeze every little drop out of it, and then usually put those drops of lemon into vodka soda.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that just makes everything good. Yeah, no, I kid, but I do enjoy vodka sodas. But I have to say, like, that's just something I take a walk every day. I love walking. I think it's the most creative point of my day. So I do it a lot, even if it's just getting up for 10 minutes or something. And that is my time to kind of slow it down. Even like if I'm about to respond to an email or I've already written it, but it has a lot of content related material, I'll just walk away, because you know what? If I take 10 extra minutes on my timeline, it's still probably earlier than anybody's expecting it. Mm-hmm. So you got to do, everybody, that's not time you'll regret standing, because even if it's just like one maybe sentence you want to add in or something you want to change, or, oh, you were sparked with a great idea. Get up, take a walk, or get up and take a shower, because, great ideas come to all of us in the shower when we're not doing something else. There's like a whole study about that.
It's the best time to meditate, too.
I just learned that Paul Simon wrote a lot of his music in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. That's remarkable.
I wrote my wedding vows there, so,
Yeah.
Alex, I'd like a podcast where you recite your vows.
I have to find them. I'm sure I remember them. It was a long time ago. We're no longer married, but we're still very good friends.
Who even remembers those old things?
I've got a mind like an elephant. Unfortunately, I remember all the things I don't want to.
It's a curse. It's a curse.
So, friends, you heard it from Laura herself. We're going to come back with another episode, a follow-up episode. We're going to schedule that as soon as we finish this one. More from Laura Schwartz. Please stay with us and stay with Bollotta-FIDE.
Hey, thank you for listening to Bollotta-FIDE.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe.
And remember to leave us your questions or comments at bollotta.com/podcast.
Bollotta-FIDE is a production of Bollotta Entertainment.
Hey, that's a lot of Bollotta. Stay engaging.